Hi everyone, it's Tess again from teacherstess.com and I'm back here today. You may notice in yet another place. We're house sitting again. I absolutely love that we can do this. And the reason I can do this is because however horrible this last week has been with all these changes with China, I'm still teaching online. I'm still teaching for Wales as we speak today. We are the 9th of August. They're still going. I'll be working with them until maximum the end of November. So while this sort of because that's when my contract runs out and they're not renewing contracts. So mine finishes on the 21st of November. So whatever happens, I'll be leaving Wales then. So the video that I'm making today, because this is exactly what I'm doing, and actually it's what I've done in the past, is all about setting up a way of finding online ESL students for yourself, your own students. I used to run a school. I lived in France for 20 years and I used to run a school over there. I primarily taught business English, but I also worked with several schools. So I taught MBA English, professional English, older kids, no children, not with that company. So it's a bit different, but what I'm doing now is exactly the same thing, and I'm putting in place a structure and a process. So I will have a website that will help me build the company that I now want to build. So I just thought I'd jump in here today and I would share with you 7 top tips, I suppose, 7 things to consider so you can go off and find your own students for either online or offline. It doesn't make any difference. This is a great way to get started. So let's just jump straight in and think about what is the number one thing that you need to do to be able to find your own students. Well, for sure, it's going to be a website, without a doubt. Now, I remember when I built my first website, I was terrified. I didn't know what I was doing. It took me forever. I was so rubbish at it. So having learned from my experience, the most important thing for a website is that it is clear, that people can see you, that they know who you are. People really like having pictures to put with names, to know that you're not just something up in the cloud. So a website that looks personable, personal and professional. So what are my key things to put in a website? Well, first of all, as I just said, your name and photo goes without saying. But second, it's really important if you want students to choose you in a fairly crowded market, especially at the moment, because everyone is either going to be working for other schools than Chinese schools or setting up independent. So you've got to have something that's going to make you stand out. Or at least reflect the teacher that you really want to be. So make sure that you put your qualifications, think about your expertise, demonstrate what you've done, so your potential students, clients, will be able to see that you're somebody who can be trusted, who's got experience, who knows what they're doing. It's absolutely essential. The other thing to add to that note is that, don't try, if you're just setting up a website for you yourself, to be a tutor, do not go and scattergun everything. Try and niche down. Decide what it is that you want to teach, how you want to teach it, and most importantly, who you want to teach it to. Do you just want to work with children? Do you just want to teach business English? Do you just want to do exam preparation? And then within those niches, do you want to dive down a bit more? Now, it's not essential to know this when you start off, because of course, until you've got your first students, you may have no idea and have no niche. Doesn't matter. Jump on in, get something outside and out there, because it's too easy just to do nothing or just hesitate and go, ooh, I don't know what to do. But in the long term, it's a good idea to try and have an idea. So even before you do go forward, at least think about what you don't like and then make sure you don't mention that, because you don't want to be teaching something you don't feel confident about or you don't like teaching. So that's that one. The other thing you need to put on your website really clearly and easily findable, easy to find, so it's easy to find, is, what are your services? How do you teach? What platform do you use? What length are the lessons that you're going to be delivering? Potentially, what sort of curriculum are you offering? Now, if it's for children, it might be easier than it would be for adults, because adults tend to be very bespoke and very personalized. But if you're teaching children, yes, a curriculum is not a bad idea. So, depending on the type of age, the ages that you're going to teach, well, you can consider and look into various different types of curriculum. Personally, before we go down that one, I would go and find things that are already made. There's loads of stuff out there, and I will list them below in the description box. Don't reinvent the wheel. Now, something else that's really important for a good website is a blog. If possible, write a blog, because it's a great way of communicating your experience, and also because Google, I don't understand how this works, but I know that they like websites that have content that is updated and that is fresh. So if you don't, it's a really good thing to get in the habit of doing. And also your blog can be transferred to a newsletter if you ever decided to build an email list, or you can use it to promote on Instagram, your social media accounts. There's loads of things you can do. So writing a blog is actually a really good way of getting your experience and qualifications out there. So I recommend a blog. You can, but it is not essential to put your prices up there, because if it's very clear cut and you know that you're only ever going to charge X for one type of lesson and Y for something else, fine. But for some, I've experienced this most definitely, depending on what the students want, whether or not they're buying packages of 10 lessons, or if they just want one-on-one, or if they want one, if you're a teacher with 2 kids, are you going to charge the same thing for everything? It's sometimes quite hard to know, and I definitely wouldn't put prices down for adults. Personally, I will say, contact me and we can discuss your requirements, because it could be something that needs a huge amount of work on your behalf, in which case you need to make sure that you get the balance right. So price can go on there, but not necessarily. The other thing that I really think is important is don't forget that the most important thing that your website is doing is driving any visitors to your sign up page. That's what you want them to do. So a good, strong, simple call to action is essential. So make sure it's really easy, sort of on your home page or something like that. You can, contact me here for more information. Click below for our courses, blah, blah, blah. Something that just channels them, funnels them down to where you want them to go. Oh, yes, this is for me, click. And book courses. So make it super easy for them to engage with you and book courses. That is the primary reason for your website to be up there. Whichever provider you decide to use to build your website, so whether it's Wix or WordPress, etc., you still need to buy your own domain name. Now, I use GoDaddy. There are others, but GoDaddy is super easy. You just go in and you put in your name or the idea of a name that you have, and it will let you know whether or not it's free. And it will suggest those that are nearest yours if it is not. So for instance, I'll put in a name and it'll say, teachwithtess.com is not free, but teachwithtess.net is free, or teachtesswith.com is free. So it can give you some ideas, but it's really important that you keep in your head the sort of name that you want, and think hard before you go off and buy. What is it you want to project through this? Do you want your name in it? Do you want it to be something more generic? Is it something you want to be able to grow? In which case, do you want your name in it, or do you want to set it up as a school? There are all these sort of things. I'm personally setting up a school again because I used to run one, so I'm looking to I'm finding a name that will reflect the sort of school that I'm trying to build. So there are lots of things to think about, but it's really easy to do. Click, shouldn't cost you a fortune, but it's well worth doing. Find that. And then you have everything you need to do your website. And of course, the most important thing is what you put in it. So make sure you take time to think about that and fill in all the information necessary for a student to land on your website and go, this is the one. She is a teacher for me. So as I said earlier, the ESL market is actually a pretty busy market now, especially because of this huge mass of people who are suddenly finding themselves without work or soon without work, and who are reinventing themselves, looking for opportunities, deciding what it is they can do. So it is a busy marketplace. What I always say to myself when I go, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? Well, I know. Okay, yes, there are a lot of teachers out there, but there are also millions of people who want to learn English. So it's just a question of finding them. So let's talk about the second thing I'd recommend doing, and that is spread the word. Now, of course, we're going to talk about social media a bit, but don't forget all your family and friends. Don't forget that people know people, and people that like people will talk about you. So if you can let your, let your entourage, let the people you work with know that you're available for private teaching. Tell them. You never know who they may meet and who they can direct your way. The sort of thing you can think about is, are you in an area where you could advertise classes? Because of course, loads of people are working online, but it is still possible to do one-to-one coaching. So, think about, are there areas you can leave flyers? Are there places that you could advertise your teaching services? So think about that sort of thing. Spreading the word is a really important thing. And you can also create a profile on tutoring websites. They exist. Again, I'll put some names down below in the description box, but that's really useful because you may land some clients like that. It's all about getting out there. One thing that is important to do is not to spend very much money when you get started. So, or as little as possible, because you never quite know where it's going to go, how long it'll take for you to start generating income. So keep your costs low. So find free websites, places you can put things, if you do want to pay, that are really, 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 really cheap. Okay, so next, let's start talking about the third thing, which is social media. Now, I'm not social media savvy. I've had to learn quickly, but I am of an age where things like Snapchat, no idea how to use it. TikTok, even less. Just not me, not my age group. Sorry. I don't. I leave that to my daughter. She can do that. So use social media well. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I use my YouTube channel, obviously. Facebook, another great platform. There are a huge amount of groups there that are specifically for ESL learners. So it's a really great place to go out there. But when you're, if you're using LinkedIn, for instance, and you're putting out your services, saying the sort of courses you are, you create a little flyer with Canva, whatever it is, canva.com, link below. The best thing in the world to make everything look beautiful, including your lessons. But if you're going to create a flyer that you can put up as a little ad, then make sure that you use hashtags like teacher or ESL teacher, or things, again, when people are searching, they may pull up. So all of these things, lots of possibilities out there for you to use social media well and attract potential clients. Make sure that whatever it is that you post is interesting and relevant and helpful. And I'm a big believer in giving, because if you can give free content, then people appreciate that. And if you can give a specific amount, or, when you start asking them to pay, they'll be going, oh yeah, she's already given me all this free content. I don't mind paying for my classes because I know that she's really experienced. I know that she knows what she's talking about. Yeah, let's go. The other thing to put on your social media post is, of course, your website. So always include a clickable link. If you don't know how to use some of these platforms, if you're old like me, or you're young and still learning, YouTube is your friend. You will find everything you need to know on YouTube. I've just figured out to do something on Instagram that I've been desperately wanting to do. Pretty basic, didn't know YouTube. So make sure you know how to use all these social media sites well. And then going back to your all these services that you're providing, they need to be promoted. You need to be able to talk about them. So remember that blog post, and you can duplicate your blogs from your website onto your social media. Maybe if they're really, really long, you don't want to do all of it, but you can have snippets on social media and then point them over to your website, so you're driving traffic, because you want to drive traffic to your website. That's the ultimate goal. You can also do the opposite. If you have short, concise little posts on your social media, whack them in your blog post on your website. It works too. So the fourth thing I was going to talk about is networking again, but in a slightly different way. It's easy to think that teachers are your competition. Oh, I don't want to talk to her. Oh no, she might nick my students, or he might take this or that. But actually, you can also find that the opposite is true. I think that collaboration between teachers is extremely powerful, because if you are A, good at your job, and B, successful, they sort of go hand in hand. Well, at some point you may not be able to to cater to all the students who are wanting to work with you. So either you expand your business, or you can say, hey, teacher, whatever, here's a student, because I can't take them anymore. So your network can help you out with excess students, but vice versa. If they have too many students because they've got to that place before you, they can send them your way. And the other thing to think about is, as I said earlier, you may not be a specialist in everything. You're not a jack of all trades. You're really, really good at teaching kids, or you're excellent at phonics. That's your niche. Well, you're not going to start teaching business English. So you palm them. You hand over your student or your potential student to your teacher network. So it's a really great thing to have a good, strong network of teachers to work with, because it's a very good way of getting extra clients and looking out for each other. And the other thing to do, of course, is if you're a teacher in a brick and mortar school, tell your colleagues that you're tutoring. You never know, you may pick up more students like that too. I know I did when I had my school in France. Word of mouth, people who knew me, it worked very well. I was constantly getting students through the door, mainly because of networks. So network is a very important thing. Number 5. This is a strategy. So to find your students, it can be hard, especially when you haven't got any. So how do you entice your first students to say yes? Well, have a little hook. Have a hook on your website that makes them go, ooh, I've got not much to lose here. So for instance, I always suggest offering your first lesson free. Okay, it'll cost you 25, 50 minutes or whatever length lesson you've decided on. Or you can do a half, maybe if you'd normally deliver 1 hour lessons, you could maybe do a 25-minute lesson, or you offer the evaluation free, because whatever happens when you start tutoring, you need to figure out what level your students are at. So you can potentially offer your first class free in whatever format it may take. Again, the students are going to go, that's great, because it's a nice way as well for you to see whether or not you work together, you fit each other, because you don't want to spend however many hours tutoring somebody that actually you really don't like very much, or that you don't gel with, and they're going to feel the same way. They want to see your teaching style. Is it the right style for them? So it's really nice to be able to offer that. The second thing, sort of under this banner of how to hook them in, and this is slightly different actually, but I'm a big believer in affiliates, helping you and helping others. So you can offer an affiliate, an affiliate bonus maybe. So for instance, if you have got clients already, then you could say to them that if you bring clients to your website, clients to the company, you'll get a free lesson. Doesn't cost you anything apart from an hour of your time, but it can potentially bring in a string of other students that will be, adding to your income. So that's a great thing to do. Good hooks, get them in, show them what you're all about, and then hopefully develop loyalty, and they will come to you as well. They will bring more people to you. You know what I mean? I did talk about spreading the word, but I didn't specifically, I think, talk about promoting yourself in the local community. So number 6 is all about that. It sounds really obvious and simple, but because we're all working online now, the world is our platform, not our local community. But depending on where you live, you may well find that you've got students, clients sitting there ready to be taught, if you see what I mean. So think about it, it could be a church bulletin board, it could be working with, are there universities near you, big schools near you? Go and have a look around where you are and see if there's anywhere that could potentially have clients for you, and post It's a great way, it's easy to do, it's usually free. 7th and last tip is all about joining groups. Now, we can do this on Facebook, definitely. There are ESL students all over the world, so join a group. Or join several groups. You can find them on Facebook, but you could also go to somewhere like meetup.com. You can go and search for good groups where there are lots of ESL students, clients, potential clients who hang out, and go and offer your services. Offer a bit of time. I'm going back to this thing about giving. When you give, you tend to receive. So give your time freely, but sensibly. So there you go. Those are my 7 main tips, my top tips to start finding students. It's a hard slog. It's not easy. I'm definitely not going to say, you just post it out there and whoop, they come in. No, it's not that. It requires persistence. It requires energy. It requires consistency. It requires professionalism in everything you do. And, build something that that reflects you. This is your opportunity, because you're leaving the companies or the Chinese companies or wherever it is that you have been before, because you've taken this step, you've decided you want to set up as an independent teacher. This is your moment. Make it all about something that will suit you going forward, give you the means to grow, the means to do all these things that you want to do. So take your time, think hard, write really good content, and remember that word of mouth is by far the most powerful way of advertising yourself. I built my school before almost entirely on word of mouth. I didn't advertise. Somebody liked it, they talked to somebody else, blah, 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 and the ball started rolling. And once it starts rolling, it gets a lot easier. It's those first few clients that can be a bit hard. So, once you've figured out who, what, where, how you're going to teach, don't forget the other important thing, although this is not really about finding students, it's the next video, but remember that you're responsible for your finances, you're responsible for ensuring that you don't breach copyright, etc, etc, etc. But it's worth doing. It's great fun. It's a huge, wide world of opportunity out there. So dive in like that and enjoy yourself. And I hope to see you next time, maybe with a new website, a new address.com. So there we go. Sorry about the ramblings, and I'll see you next time, and good luck with everything, and I hope you're okay. It's hard times at the moment, I know that. Bye.